These are 6 cold start mistakes that could shave 15,000 to 25,000 miles off your engine's lifespan. Most drivers make at least one of these errors every single day without realizing the damage they're causing. And here's the thing, modern engines have gotten so good at hiding the symptoms that by the time you notice something's wrong, serious wear has already occurred. Cold starts are one of the most vulnerable moments in your engine's life. We're talking about that period when you fire up your car after it's been sitting for 4 or 5 hours, cooled down to ambient temperature, and during those first few seconds, components are contracted, oil is thick, and everything inside your engine is working harder than it will at any other point during your drive. Today, we're breaking down exactly what's happening inside your engine during a cold start, and more importantly, the 6 mistakes that are quietly destroying it.
Let's start with what's probably the most obviously bad idea, but one that still happens all the time. Revving your engine right after you start it. Your pistons and cylinder walls are made of metal, and metal contracts when it's cold. Those pistons are designed to fit perfectly inside the cylinders, but only at operating temperature, which for most vehicles sits somewhere between 195 and 220 degrees Fahrenheit. When your engine is cold, those pistons are smaller because they haven't expanded yet, creating more clearance between the piston and the cylinder wall than there should be. Now, if you immediately start revving the engine, you're forcing these cold, contracted components to slam against each other at high speed. The result is scored cylinder walls, worn piston rings, and if you do this repeatedly, you'll start hearing piston slap, that rattling noise that comes from your pistons literally slapping against the cylinder walls because the clearance is too large. This is accelerated wear, plain and simple, asking components to perform at high stress before they're physically ready to do so.
Now here's where things get counterintuitive, because you might think, okay, I won't rev it, I'll just let it idle for a nice long time to warm up. Bad idea, and here's why. When your engine is cold, it runs on what's called a fuel-rich mixture, where the computer pumps extra fuel into the cylinders to maintain combustion, because the engine isn't at optimal temperature yet. That's normal and necessary, but the problem starts when you let it idle for 10, 15, 20 minutes, because all that excess fuel starts seeping past your piston rings, washing the oil coating off your cylinder walls, and diluting your engine oil, the very thing that's supposed to be protecting your engine. According to RRR truck parts, this rich fuel mixture rinses the oil coating off of the cylinder walls, causing significantly decreased engine life. And here's the kicker. Idling is an incredibly inefficient way to warm up your engine, because it can take up to 20 minutes for your engine to reach operating temperature just sitting there idling, and meanwhile, you're washing oil off critical components, diluting what's left in your crankcase, and wasting fuel. The better approach is to start your car, wait 30 to 60 seconds for oil to circulate, then drive gently, because you'll warm the engine faster and more efficiently without all that excess fuel causing problems. This isn't just folk wisdom, by the way, as AAA and Consumer Reports both recommend this exact approach for modern engines.
We just said don't idle for 20 minutes, but you also can't just turn the key and immediately throw it in drive, because there's a sweet spot here. When your engine is cold, your oil is thick and viscous, meaning it doesn't flow as easily, and during those first few seconds after startup, your oil pump is working to circulate that thick oil from the oil pan up through the engine to all the components that need it. For modern engines with electronic fuel injection, that process takes about 20 to 30 seconds, which is how long it takes for oil to reach full pressure and get to all the critical components. If you start driving immediately, we're talking zero wait time, some components might experience on-metal contact during those first few seconds. Not ideal. The proper procedure is simple. Start your engine and wait 30 seconds minimum, or in extreme cold, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. AAA puts it nicely when they say it's about the time it takes to buckle your seatbelt and adjust your mirrors. Then, and this is the part people miss, you drive gently, keeping your RPMs under 2,500 until the temperature gauge shows the engine is warming up, avoiding hard acceleration, skipping heavy loads, and sticking to easy, moderate driving.
This is completely different from old carbureted engines from before the 1990s, which actually did need several minutes of warm-up time because the carburetor needed heat to properly mix fuel and air. But modern fuel injection systems handle this automatically. So the old advice about warming up for 5 or 10 minutes doesn't apply anymore.
This one's insidious because it doesn't feel like you're doing anything wrong when you're just running to the grocery store, dropping the kids at school, or making a quick trip to the bank. Each one only a few miles. What's the harm? The harm is significant, and it comes from 3 different problems that all stem from the same root cause. Your engine never reaches operating temperature. First is moisture accumulation, where your engine produces water vapor during combustion, which is normal. But when your engine gets hot enough, we're talking oil temperatures of at least 180 degrees Fahrenheit, that moisture evaporates and exits through the exhaust. When you only take short trips, your engine doesn't get hot enough to burn off that moisture. So instead, the water mixes with your oil, creating a milky appearance, forming sludge, and causing internal corrosion and acid formation. Second is fuel dilution, where cold engines run rich, remember? And when the engine is cold, metal tolerances are looser, so combustion gases and fuel can slip past the piston rings into the crankcase, mixing with your oil and breaking it down faster. Third is oil contamination, where all those moisture, fuel, acids, and debris that accumulate during cold operation can't get cooked off, so they just build up in your oil, leading to sludge formation and corrosion. Morton's on the Move, in their December 2023 article, reported seeing catastrophic failures from this exact scenario. Failed trunnions, stuck piston rings, internal rust, and premature engine failure. The automotive industry actually has a term for this kind of driving: severe service. And even though it sounds normal to you and me, manufacturers consider frequent short trips to be harder on your engine than highway driving. The solution is straightforward but requires some intentionality because you need to drive at least 10 to 20 miles to allow your engine to reach and maintain operating temperature. If your daily routine involves lots of short trips, try to combine errands into one longer trip and take a 20 to 30 mile highway drive at least once per week, because your engine, your oil, and even your exhaust system will thank you for it. This mistake compounds all the others because your oil is your engine's first line of defense during a cold start. When oil is cold, it doesn't flow as fast. And in extreme cold, some oils might not flow through tiny passages at all, which starves components of lubrication until the oil warms up. Using the wrong viscosity or using old, dirty oil means you're failing to protect vital engine parts during that vulnerable cold start period. And this is where oil quality really matters, because full synthetic oils flow significantly better in cold temperatures than conventional oils, engineered to maintain their viscosity across a wider temperature range. So even below 0 temperatures, synthetic oils keep flowing where conventional oils might struggle. But here's what a lot of people miss. If you're doing mostly short trips, you need to change your oil more frequently, even if your mileage is low. Because remember all that moisture and fuel contamination we talked about? That stuff accumulates based on time and engine cycles, not just miles driven. AMSOIL and other oil analysis experts recommend changing oil every 3 to 4 months for short trip drivers, regardless of how many miles you've put on. Because the moisture and acid accumulation happens whether you drive 1,000 miles or 5,000 miles. And always use the manufacturer-recommended oil viscosity, because the engineers who designed your engine specified that viscosity for a reason. It provides the best balance of cold flow properties and operating temperature protection for your specific engine.
The final mistake ties everything together, because you've started your engine, waited your 30 seconds, and now you're driving. But you're late for work, or you just like spirited driving, so you're getting on it. High RPMs, hard acceleration, maybe merging onto the highway at full throttle. Your engine is not ready for that. Components still haven't expanded to their proper tolerances. Oil hasn't reached optimal viscosity and pressure throughout the entire system, and the anti-wear additives in your oil aren't fully activated until the oil is hot, meaning you're putting high loads on an engine that's still in a vulnerable state. This is especially critical if you have a turbocharged engine, because those turbochargers need even more time before you should be engaging boost. And the same goes for high-performance engines in general. They need more careful warm-up. The proper warm-up driving technique is to keep your RPMs under 2,500 until your temperature gauge shows normal operating temperature, avoiding hard acceleration, skipping heavy loads like towing or aggressive driving, and sticking to gentle, moderate driving for the first 5 to 10 minutes. Wait until your temperature gauge actually moves off the cold reading before you drive the car the way it was designed to be driven, because this is about respecting the physics of what's happening inside your engine. Where metal needs time to expand, oil needs time to heat up and flow properly. And if you give it that time, your engine will reward you with a longer, healthier life.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about one symptom you might notice that ties several of these mistakes together: piston slap. Piston slap is that knocking or rattling noise you hear, most often during cold starts, caused by excessive clearance between the piston and cylinder wall, where instead of moving smoothly up and down, the piston rocks side to side, literally slapping against the cylinder wall. This happens because of thermal expansion, where aluminum pistons are designed to expand as they heat up, so when they're cold, they're slightly smaller than the cylinder bore, and that increased clearance allows the piston to slap around. Now here's the nuance. Mild piston slap is often normal, especially in high-mileage engines over 100,000 miles or in certain factory engines. GM's LS1 engine, introduced in 1997, was famous for piston slap when new, caused by shorter piston skirts and aluminum block design, and many of those engines ran well over 200,000 miles with that characteristic slap. But while it's not immediately catastrophic, piston slap does indicate wear is occurring, and over time, it can lead to worn piston rings, increased oil consumption, and eventual piston skirt failure. And if you're making the mistakes we've talked about, revving when cold, not warming up properly, driving aggressively before the engine is ready, you're accelerating that wear. As the engine warms up and the piston expands, the clearance decreases and the slap usually goes away, or at least quiets down significantly.
One thing worth understanding is that modern engines are actually much better at handling cold starts than engines from 30 or 40 years ago. If you had a carbureted engine from before the 1990s, you really did need 2 to 3 minutes of warm-up time minimum, because the carburetor needed heat to properly mix fuel and air, and those engines could stall without adequate warm-up. Modern electronic fuel injection changed everything, where computer sensors automatically adjust the air-fuel mixture based on temperature, engine load, and dozens of other factors. And modern engines reach full lubrication in 20 to 30 seconds. We also have better oil formulations, 0W20, 5W30 full synthetics that flow incredibly well even in cold conditions. But, and this is what people need to understand, the fundamental physics haven't changed because cold metal still needs to expand, cold oil still needs to circulate, and anti-wear additives still need heat to activate fully. Modern engines are more resilient, but they're not immune to the damage caused by cold start mistakes, which is why the advice remains consistent even as the technology improves. Brief warm-up, gentle driving until fully warm, longer trips to burn off contaminants, and quality oil changed regularly. So let's tie this all together. Those 6 mistakes: revving immediately after starting, extended idling, insufficient warm-up, constant short trips, ignoring oil quality, and aggressive driving before the engine warms up, they all stem from the same fundamental misunderstanding of what your engine needs during and immediately after a cold start. Your engine is at its most vulnerable when it's cold, where components are contracted, oil is thick, clearances are off, and protective additives haven't activated yet. And anywhere from minutes to potentially tens of thousands of miles of engine life can be determined by how you treat your engine during those first few minutes of operation. The good news is the solution is simple. Wait 30 seconds to a minute after starting. Drive gently for the first 5 to 10 minutes, keeping RPMs under 2,500. Take longer trips regularly with at least one 20 to 30 mile drive per week, and use quality oil at the right viscosity, changing it based on time, not just mileage, especially if you're a short trip driver. Do these things consistently, and you're not just avoiding damage, you're actively extending your engine's lifespan, We're talking about potentially getting that extra 15,000 to 25,000 miles or more that would otherwise be lost to preventable cold start wear. Your engine is probably the second most expensive thing you own after your house. So treat those first few minutes after a cold start with the respect they deserve, and it'll keep running smoothly for years to come.